we have a very important issue to discuss. Of course, it has an impact on Bangladesh. A couple of days ago, we've seen the European Union, the EU, and India, our neighbor, announcing a deal which was long awaited, and it is a free trade agreement nearly after 2 decades of negotiations. The leaders on the both sides had described this as a mother of all trade deals due to its size and potential impact. But marginalized communities, marginalized countries left out of this deal. When we talk about our hemisphere, we cannot include or we cannot forget the fact that it is not just one country out there, India, it is also Bhutan, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and as well as Bangladesh, Myanmar, and all of these nations in a joint purpose. So I want to ask Mr. Ali Ahmed, senior economist of the country, what is your observation and how this free trade agreement shall impact Bangladesh and the surrounding neighbors India has?
Well, as you know, after the Second World War, there were discussions among the allies, America, UK, France, all those countries. Germany was then a defeated country, or Japan was a defeated country, so they were not included. Russia was in the winners. So they finally hammered out the United Nations, UN, and with this the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. At the same time, there was a negotiation by another group of these countries. They wanted to form an international trade organization, but that could not be formed because of American intransigence. They had to leave it there. But later, there was a general agreement on tariffs and trade, which is called GATT, and the trade internationally was going on under the GATT agreement. But later the discussion was going on, and America took the lead, and almost all the countries of the world were in that discussion. Finally, on 1st of January 1995, they came out with an agreement and a contract that was the World Trade Organization with its rules, totally rules-based trade internationally. The basic principles of this WTO, World Trade Organization, was that if you reduce or enhance duty on one country, it will be equally applicable to all the other member countries. This is called the MFN, most favored nation. And the other was once a country sends its goods to your country after payment of whatever duty is there, once it comes inside the country, it will be getting what is called a country treatment, as if this is your product, free movement like all other goods. So that was the basic principle. Donald Trump violated this because he enhanced it somewhere, reduced it elsewhere. He has no authority under this international rule, nor of course under the US rules. That is another thing. So this was going on, this WTO. When Donald Trump came up with this huge tariff, that is duties, right, 100, 200, up to 500, as is suitable to him, 50% or whatever, this was a great breach. So what does FTA means now that this FTA has been raised, free trade agreement between EU and India? It means that these two are the contracting parties. Right. Between them, except with some small exceptions of certain goods, like atomic bomb for example, this is not exportable. All other goods will be exportable freely without any duty, etc., between these two countries. What it means, supposing duty in India or duty in the EU areas was say 10%. Now after this agreement is reached, it will enter India or vice versa, India's goods to the EU countries without payment of duty. So it means that they have a 10% value advantage. Their price will go down by 10% in both the countries. What does it mean? Previously, if Spain is a EU country, if Bangladesh would be exporting to India, then it gets a 10% disadvantage. So it means that there would be a trade creation between these two countries, these two areas, the European Union and India. This is trade creation, new trade is created by this, but there is trade diversion. Right. If Bangladesh will be exporting and is now disadvantaged because of this tariff wall of 10%, so there will be trade diversion. The Indians will be importing from EU will be importing from India, and Bangladesh had to look elsewhere with this higher rate. So this creates disadvantage for those who are left out of this agreement, and advantage for the people of these two countries. So, that is a great advantage between these two countries. So, what will happen? Bangladesh will face a higher duty compared to India, and also Vietnam reached this agreement, this free trade agreement. So, Bangladesh's garments is the most important thing.
Right.
According to the from Indian, Vietnamese and other countries' garments will face stiff competition, means disadvantage of 10% or whatever.
Right.
So, although there is a saving clause, the EU declared that this 26 is the year when Bangladesh is going to graduate into a developing country. After that, this normal duty would be applicable. But European Union beforehand declared that even after graduation, Bangladesh should be getting for another 3 years this duty-free status. But what happens after 29? You see, India has reached this agreement after 20 years, 2 decades of discussions, and we have not opened this discussion yet. So, what will happen to us in 2029 with not only garments, the most important our exports, what about the other goods? I am sure the people sitting in the secretariat, they know these things, but there are certain preconditions for entering this agreement: internal, financial and political stability
must be ensured,
that we lack. So, we must achieve those very quickly and start these negotiations with European Union. This before this 3 years grace period goes away.
No, a large number of EU people are here to observe the coming elections as well. So, they do have some kind of
and
relationship.
this is not only EU, many countries are like this. So, we will be nowhere. The people in the ministries, finance ministry or especially the commerce ministry, they know it, but they cannot do anything now, and they are only fighting for who steals money and who builds a house and who takes money out of the country. They do not think of what is coming to this state. So, this is coming with the European Union and India's free trade. This is already within Vietnam.
Right.
They have many this is the thing that the people, the authorities must take good care of.
Of course.
They are aware of it. So, this in very short what I have got to say. Trade creation and trade diversion. There will be created new trade between the countries with having agreements, and other trade will be diverted. We will not be able to compete with them. Others will not be able to compete with them. Think of the economic situation, the trade situation in the world. So, people must take care of this.
Of course, and I must thank you, sir, Mr. Ali Ahmed, for defining this trade agreement between the two sides and how it's going to affect Bangladesh in the coming days.
Bangladesh and other countries not having this.
Of course, I mentioned some of these countries that are surrounding our neighborhood.